Hello, everyone. Welcome to Canadian music in the 80s, 90s, and more. Hope you like what you see. Please subscribe if you can. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure to once again be welcomed by, I think we're friends now.
Absolutely,
We know
bud.
each other now. Bill Welychka. Probably you'd be in my top three favorite much music VJs of all time, I would say. Or
Better than top 10.
yeah, you'd
Top,
be in my
top three is
top
pretty good.
You'd be in my top three because after reading your book and just the way you started, with the whole editing and behind the scenes stuff, because that's what I did for so many years. And to see that how far you came doing that, you went to school and you got a job in it. That was awesome. Like that's amazing. That's got to be all you could hope for.
Yeah, and at that age too, it's like beginning your life, beginning your adult life, and what a way to start in a major market on a national level. Yeah, and then throughout my career, sort of found my way down to smaller markets, and after 36 years, eventually leaving the business. So.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think the local thing is great. I think it's great you did local television in Ottawa and Kingston, and I think it's absolutely fantastic because you did more than just music there, right? Like you were doing community stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh no, God no. We still need it. It's kind of weird that Chorus cut off Kingston radio and TV, Kingston, Ontario last year. But it's sadly,
It's the way it's going.
it's a weird trend. Yeah. With not just TV and radio, but look at print. Yeah. So people like you keeping the spirit of music alive in some ways. It's awesome. Way to go.
Well, I mean, you could do it too. We should totally do something. We can, we could do something together online. Like, I mean, I think you'd be a welcome presence on YouTube or a podcast of some kind. You've got a lot to talk about. I mean, I think the book's just a fraction of what you could talk about.
Well, which is why there was a second edition that came out in
Yeah.
March or April of this year. So, yeah, just more stories from doing the book tours and hearing what people had to say and the beautiful comments about Much Music or some of my interviews or whatever. It warranted a second edition with more stories and a great big long afterward.
Yeah, like I mean, I find it really cool. Like I loved reading your book because you said you learned from guys like Christopher Ward and Denise Donlin, like how to do interviews and stuff. And it definitely showed you really, and there's people I take pointers from when I do interviews, like you're one of them. I take my pointers from Tom Power.
Mm,
I really like the way he interviews people. He just seems like you said, it's not question and answer. It's like a conversation.
that's the way it should be. And things flow better. You're apt to get more spontaneous responses, I think that way. Yeah, it's the only way to go. But unfortunately, with media and broadcasting now, interviews aren't allowed to breathe, you
Yeah,
know?
it's just
So thank God for podcasts.
quick clips here and there, right? There's no like, and that's what I'm about. I'm about like the contest, like content. Like I interviewed Rick Emmett a few months ago and he talked forever. And you know what? I didn't stop him. When a guy like that wants to talk, you let him talk. He's got a lot of great insight into the music business and a career. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, there's some good stories there too.
and that's just it. You know what I mean? It's guys like that I'm not going to cut them short. There's no way I can cut a guy like that short, especially with the what he's been through over his life, right? And same with guys like you too.
Well, it's interesting, with that Triumph documentary on Crave that came out last year. Um, I'm hearing more and more from people that, oh, I saw your interview with Marilyn Manson on some documentary, some streaming thing. So what Bell Media has done, they've opened up that library after digitizing all these videos for the
Right.
doc, which was supposed to end up on Crave and it didn't. But a lot of these independent documentary productions from around the world are accessing that library, which is amazing. So older interviews keep coming up. I love it. And now
Um,
there's much now launched last month is Much Rewind on YouTube where they're actually airing uncut interviews, just the raw interview. So they started with Noel Gallagher, my interview with Noel, and then they just posted my interview with Ozzy just after his death. So it's pretty amazing
yeah.
to get responses from people saying, "Oh my God, I saw your interview." I'm like, "Where? How? What?"
Leads
Then,
me. Yeah, leads me into some of the stuff I want to talk about actually. Well, first I want to talk about documentaries because there's some really good documentaries about Canadian bands actually. I mean, the Tragically Hip documentary, have you watched all of it yet?
I've watched some episodes. Yeah, I think the first three. Yeah,
The early years, you really got a kick out of that, I bet.
yeah, I really did. Just
Um,
amazing.
it was well done. I thought it was good that it was done by Gord's brother.
Well, Mike is actually helming a doc. He interviewed me for it. I guess I can talk about it. I can't get into too much about it, but the history of Toronto music, it goes back to the 60s. It goes all the way
Oh
to
wow,
um, the SARS stock concert with the Stones and
really?
AC/DC and Rush and the Guess Who. Toronto Rocks was the name of the concert. And yeah, so it starts with the earliest music in Toronto and it goes all the way to that big concert. And
Just
so Mike's working on that right now, Mike Downey.
oh, that would be amazing. I really look forward to seeing something like that. I mean, too bad my mom's not alive anymore. She saw Elvis at Maple Leaf Gardens in the 50s.
Oh,
So like, I mean, and she used to work at Ronnie Hawkins' club back in those days. So that's a lot of history there too, right? So
yeah, it'll all be talked about the Beatles at the Gardens too. And yeah,
the
so I'm looking
Horseshoe
forward
and
to
all the
that.
great
Probably
clubs.
next year, I was told.
Oh, I'd look forward to seeing that. And the Blue Rodeo documentary. Have you had a chance to watch that yet?
I haven't seen that yet. No.
Very well done. I think you'd really enjoy it when you do get down to actually watching it.
A lot of vintage stuff, a lot of old stuff in
Oh,
there.
just
Yeah.
incredible. A lot of Much Music clips, obviously, because again, I credit Much Music for the coverage they gave Canadian bands back in the day. Like I wouldn't have known half the Canadian bands if it wasn't for Much.
Well, I just saw Oasis in Toronto last weekend, and thinking of Oasis, like we have footage of them from Lee's Palace. I mean, maybe 40
Wow.
people in the room, yeah,
Well,
versus 50,000 in Toronto last weekend. So yeah, they have a pretty good archive.
yeah, I can't imagine I mean, so many people I know went to that I know from back in Ontario. They said they it was almost like it's a whole generation's Led Zeppelin almost to see those guys back on stage together.
Where'd you get that line from? I use
I
that.
I might have read it somewhere. I don't not for sure, but I think but you know what I mean.
That was
They're
my quote in Toronto Now magazine. Now they interviewed me after the show, and I that was the headline. Yeah,
yeah, but I mean they're a
that's
whole
true though. Yeah.
it's a generation that, that was their band, like that was one of those bands. Like so yeah, I guess the big thing is to see the brothers back together on stage.
Yeah, to see Liam and Noel walk out with Liam raising Noel's arm in the air, it was pretty amazing.
Other documentaries, I don't know if you saw the Doug and the Slugs one.
Yes, I did. I saw it at the screening in Toronto. Yeah.
I thought that was done from a very interesting perspective. And I didn't know Denise Donlin had such a involvement with the band in their early days.
She managed them doing university tours, yeah, before she started to turn to broadcasting. Pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Another one of the underrated ones. I don't know if you ever saw the Spirit of the West documentary, Spirit Unforgettable.
No.
It's available on YouTube. I think you'd really like that one too. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. I just I always think of them, the Hip and Rush together because they all stopped at the same time
Mm,
because of illnesses in the band and they're all gone now.
right.
And I put Spirit of the West in that group because I think they were as important to Canada in a weird in a way.
Oh, for sure.
Um,
Totally agree with you.
um, but anyway, let's get back to the other thing I want to talk about. We've lost some pretty important people recently. Like we lost Ozzy, we lost Hulk Hogan, we just seems we're losing a lot of our generation, like a generation of, icons. Um, Now you've interviewed Ozzy and you've interviewed a lot of these people. Does it hit close to home with you knowing that you had a connection with them, like having interviewed them and actually met them?
Hulk was a surprise. I've interviewed the Hulk a couple of times. I didn't know he was sick. With Ozzy, I think we sort of knew it
Yeah.
was happening. We didn't know exactly when, but still, it hurts. And I think back to my personal connection, besides spending a whole lot of time with them over the years, is just, buying his first couple of solo records when I was in high
Yeah.
school and seeing him at Maple Leaf Gardens. And it's those little touchstones that I recall sometimes when someone passes away. But you're right, the book talks about death and, you know, in how many cases we've spent hours of our lives listening to these people's music and how much they've had an impact on us. And it's been a best friend, their music, and it's elevated us and it's moved us. And so you remove that person, and it's very touching. We may not know Gord Downey personally, but his loss is everyone's loss. And, there's a hole there.
Yeah. It's well, I don't know if you ever saw it. Rick Mercer said something about Gord Downey. Apparently Gord asked him about the pronunciation of a town in Newfoundland for a song he was writing. And he said, I'm not sure. I think that's it. But if you want, call my dad. He knows for sure. And Gord actually did call his dad.
Hmm.
And his dad actually called Rick back and said, Hey, your buddy Gord called. He was asking me about where we used to camp and stuff in Newfoundland and stuff like that. And he goes, Dad, don't you realize who that was? He's like the singer of one of the greatest bands in Canada. He goes, Really? He never mentioned that. He just said it's Gord from Kingston. Like, and when you hear a story like that, you're just like, yeah, he really was a real person. Eh? Like he was just so down to earth and like all the guys are in the hip,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know. And it's just, they're just five dudes that had a band and made good music and got really far with it.
But I'll go one step further, and yeah, and you said it, they're, beyond nice. They are beautiful human beings, all of them. And what a fortunate position for me to be in, living in Kingston, and bonding with them over the years, and consider myself one of the luckiest people in the world to consider, Paul and Rob really good friends. And I love those
Yeah.
guys. I love them. Love
I,
them.
I mean, it's awesome that Paul wrote the foreword to your book. That was amazing. Like, I really enjoyed reading that part of it, especially just to have a guy like that, you know. What did you say? I really like him. I think he likes me.
Oh, Paul saying I think he likes me.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I joked from the stage one time emceeing a benefit here in Kingston where Paul was playing and his wife was Joanne was in the audience, Paul's wife, and I joked that I have a man crush on Paul. I think Joanne still reminds me about that.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
A
And
good-looking guy. They're all good-looking guys.
that'll never die as long as you guys know each other, will it?
Yeah.
It'll always get brought up, right? So
Yeah, I love Joanne. And all the guys come from great families. They all have great families. Um, Beautiful kids. And yeah, I can't say enough great things about all the guys from the hip.
that's what I really enjoyed about the doc. The early years, you really saw that their families were a big part of what they did too. Like their families were really supportive and stuck behind them. As crazy as that dream of starting a band is,
Yeah.
their parents were together and their parents all knew each other too. Like it was that's a touching part when you see that early part of their career, how much the families really have to do with it.
Yeah, and they all come from good stock too. Really good parents. And they've become great parents too.
Um, yeah, I was talking to you about the CBGB's release. I haven't opened it yet. I'm afraid
On
to.
Record Store Day. Yeah, the songs are out there. Keep that as a great souvenir
Yeah,
for
uh,
sure.
especially since they released it on cassette too, which is pretty awesome.
I love that.
And I'm gonna embarrass you. I found this in a thrift store, and I had to buy
That,
it.
yeah, Much launched a couple of albums and CDs. That
Yeah.
was before the Big Shiny Tunes, actually, the Outlaws and
Oh,
Heroes.
really?
Yeah. And then with the success of those compilations, Big Shiny Tunes came out shortly thereafter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that one open? Did you crack the seal on that one?
Oh, it's opened.
Oh
It's
yeah.
open. There's actually quite a range of music over the years from like early 90s up until or
Yeah,
late
Marty Stewart's
80s.
on that one. That was very important for me to get Marty on there. I love Marty Stewart.
Marty Stewart, Sammy Kershaw, Tracy Byrd, even Dwayne Eddy.
That was actually the theme song of Outlaws and Heroes.
Oh, that was, oh, really? I
Bow,
had no idea.
bow, 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 bow. It was Dwayne Eddy. So yeah, that's a song. That's the track on that album.
I was curious reading about how you actually put a proposal for Outlaws and Heroes on Mike's desk before they actually went with it. You
John
figured,
Martin's desk.
or
Yeah.
John Martin's desk, sorry, John Martin's desk, and you think he might have been doing that anyway, but maybe your proposal pushed him in the direction of getting it off the ground.
Well, one of my jobs, one of my first jobs that much was getting the record company's videos. They came in on 1 inch videotape, and I would dub them for the library, and then they would pick them up the next day, the record company. And
Yeah,
we kept getting in all these country music videos, and I knew that we had some interviews in the past, and country was starting to sell like crazy at this point in the late 80s. And I submitted a proposal, and one ended up going on the air that I helped worked on. And some people say, "Oh, that was your idea." Well, John was a smart guy. I'm sure he was already planning something.
yeah,
But the fact that, and that's what really made Much stand out throughout its entire existence was, we had 4 hours of music video flow, which, VJs coming and going and sometimes live interviews. But the playlist was really broad. Like we could play
yeah,
country, we could play pop, rock, alternative, hip hop, soul. You know, we ran the gamut and there was something for everyone, whereas MTV was just in the States, just sort of narrow casting almost,
yeah.
just the hits. And no black artists in the early days of MTV. And yeah, so when the book first came out, I was getting asked what was the difference between Much Music and MTV, and that was my biggest response was just the way we opened it right up.
Yeah,
And you talk about Canadian music, and we did it regionally as well. Stuff from the East Coast, stuff from the West Coast, stuff from the
yep,
prairies. Canada's a huge country, and it's not really split that way in the US. Well, you have New York, you have LA, a lot of
yeah,
scenes there, but then you also have scenes all over the place. But
right.
yeah, we did our best to have something for everybody. And I think we
Like
did
I,
it very well.
like the thing that it much did for me was um I didn't really get into much until they became part of basic cable, to be honest with you. But up until then, I remember if you went to school, you had to be a certain kind of person. You had to either have you had to like hard rock. You couldn't like Duran Duran or all those new wave bands, or you'd be picked on by the hard rock guys, and vice versa. Whereas Much was playing everything, and they kind of made it okay to be like that, to like different kinds of music.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
they made it okay to watch, to like, I mean, the playlist, like, I mean, and like what you did to Canadian bands too. Like, I thought those Canadian bands were superstars right up there with the Madonnas and the Prince and
Yeah, it created a star system in Canada. Absolutely.
like,
And you know, you talk about liking all kinds of bands. I was always like that in high school and grade school, but it wasn't until the 90s when you realize like all of these genres were selling as well.
yeah,
Hip hop exploded. Country's always had peak years, but the early 90s with Garth Brooks leading the charge, and like I said, in hip hop and rock and pop, with the boy bands and alternative music with Nine Inch Nails, like everything was doing well.
it was. I thought Much had a lot to do with it. I thought local stations like The Edge had a lot to do with it. They were playing a lot of great Canadian music and really pushing it with the Edge Fest shows they did every year on Canada Day. Like they stockpiled the whole day with great Canadian bands.
And it got so big that Americans were joining those Edge Fest tours across Canada, like Green Day and Foo Fighters,
Yeah,
so many.
I think Hole played one of them too, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. Yeah, so like, but I mean, they really did create a superstar system up here in Canada that I really got excited about in the 90s, with bands like The Watchmen and The Hip and Sloan and one of my favorite bands who I've actually seen twice here in Charlottetown now, The Grapes of Wrath. Um,
They got back together, I think, recently.
they have. They were doing an acoustic duo thing here in Charlottetown a few months ago. Um, and I always thought they were big stars because of much. They played their music all the time, and I was just like to see a band like that in such a small room for like little to no money. It's
Yeah.
it's incredible to see a band like that. Um, I can't
You know,
just
and there's
yeah,
something about the music industry, sadly, now where, you know, there's a generation or two now that haven't bought music. You know, they might
yeah,
stream, they might have iTunes or something, but you're holding up albums and CDs. Like that was an experience that
yeah.
a lot of people don't have anymore, sadly. And that's poring over the liner notes, looking at the pictures, who produced it, song lyrics, poring over those lyrics while the song is playing. It was an experience, and you got into a record that way, and it moved you and it touched you, and um, I think that's missing from music nowadays. And it's
And
no one's
you
fault,
and you
really.
were talking about that in your book, how it's so cool to say you owned that. You own that record, you know.
When you're a little kid, yeah,
I can
yeah.
listen to it whenever I want,
That
you know.
realization you didn't have to wait for it to come on the radio. It's like I have this 45 of this song that I love and I can play it anytime I want.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously it's more convenient now than ever, but still, that was pretty cool to have a physical copy in your hands of, and you could put it on whenever you feel like it, not wait, like you said, not wait for it to come on the radio or
And then you
whatnot.
build a collection, you know.
You know, yeah. So man, just so many memories rushing back to me right now. But yeah, I was the Grapes of Wrath thing I got really excited about because they were one of my all-time favorite bands from
Mm.
Canada. And it just I remember seeing them constantly on Much Music back in the day. Like they played everything they did. And the other thing I used to love about Much, I used to like the spotlights.
Yep.
Every night you did a spotlight on a different artist, and it was kind of cool to see like where they came from video wise, right up to where they are now. And
Early videos, yeah, and interview snippets throughout the years with them, different hairstyles you can see with bands and stuff. And yeah, from their first outing, usually right up until the latest video.
would that have been something you were putting together as an editor?
I edited a lot of spotlights, yeah, as well. And
Like, yeah,
did the countdown as well, was the voice for that for many years. And yeah, and that was the cool thing about why I did the second edition of the book is just meeting people at these book tours, talking about what much music meant to them and what a certain interview might have meant to them, and explaining to their kids how important rushing home to watch a music video was. And the kids were like, why don't you just call watch it on YouTube? And parents are like, well, there was no YouTube, there was no computers. We had to
yeah.
rush to tape our favorite music artists that would come on the on Much. And yeah, and just hearing those stories. There's so many of them, and there's something beautiful about nostalgia. I don't like to live in the past, but every now and then I don't mind revisiting.
No, it's fun as long as you're not totally letting it take over your life or anything like that. But it is fun to go back and think about how different it was back then and how like you might have it was kind of I don't know, maybe it bummed you out a little bit back then, but the more you think about it now, it's like no, it wasn't so bad. It was actually kind of fun if you think about it. Like
Every generation will have its good old days. And that was the cool thing about seeing Oasis in Toronto on the weekend was just looking around and seeing 50,000 people all getting off to, you know, cigarettes and alcohol, the song Cigarettes and Alcohol.
yeah,
You know, it wasn't even a single. It was, I think, just an
yeah.
album track that people enjoyed, and people, were transported to a time and place that music can do that and inspire you and elevate you, like I said earlier, and just make you feel good. And music is amazing at doing that.
What was the demographic like at that show? Because I'm always curious when these classic bands come out. Like, do you see just old people there, or do you see
I
like a
saw
younger
people in
crowd?
their 60s. I saw preteens. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing I'm always curious about. I used to see that when I used to go see Rush before they had to stop it. I was like seeing like fathers with their teenage kids who play music and respected them as players. And it's just like, wow, that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, another generation getting off on the music. I love that.
And then,
And there's
yeah,
I think, 8 or 10 people throughout the evening stopping me and you know, wanting to say hi. saying I was a big part of their childhood growing up. And one guy even told me he became a fan of Oasis because he watched some of my interviews with Noel and Liam, and even quoted me. And I don't remember saying this, but he says, I remember you throwing to an Oasis video one time and saying, a day without Oasis is like a day without sunshine. And I said, that sounds like something I would say, but I don't remember saying it. But he remembered
Yeah,
I
you
said
gotta
that.
you gotta watch what you say sometimes because somebody's gonna remember it, right?
That's okay. Yeah.
And bring it up to you. But
That was so beautiful.
no, it's great. Like, I mean, my biggest memories were your interviews with Stomp and Tom. Like,
Mm,
because I've spoken to, I don't know if you ever met Dave McMillan.
no.
He used to work for Tom at EMI. He
Oh,
was,
Dave. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
He said Tom always liked you. He said you were one of the, he didn't like doing a lot of interviews, but you were one of the guys he really liked and had no problem doing interviews with. And it shows in the interviews too. Like it shows that he was quite comfortable talking to you. And yeah, he didn't do a lot of interviews, really, did he?
No. Um, in the being name checked by Tom in his second biography, what a huge thrill.
Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah.
that would be cool. Another guy that left us too soon, as far as I'm concerned. But something I've gotten close to since he passed away with, because I help run a Stomp and Tom fan club on Facebook. So,
Yeah.
and
Good
that's
for
the
you.
most I've gotten to know his wife and his son a little bit, and people that played in his band over the years, and heard some really neat stories and that I'll never forget. And I wish I could have got to know him a little more, but it just didn't happen.
Well, it's an important role you have now. Way to go, Alan.
Yeah, I just like keep the music alive, and the other thing that I'm really I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, but I like to really promote the fact that these bands are still making music today. They are. Honeymoon Suite is still making music. I interviewed Men Without Hats a few Ivan. They've got a great new song out. I don't know if you've heard it yet. Called I Love the 80s. It's fantastic. It'll really take you back. They're all making music still, and I think their music now is even better than some of the stuff they did 35 years ago.
I just saw the Box. I emceed a gig in Kingston here, and the Box performed, and Jean-Marc from the Box, I think, was with Men Without Hats after the safety dance for a record
Yeah,
before Jean-Marc started the Box. And yeah, again, still out there. Maybe the
yeah.
band is different, but a couple of the guys are still there, and they're still out there performing.
I think that's great. I like to let people know that too. That give their new music a chance. Like Honeymoon Suite's new stuff is incredible. If you ever get a chance to listen to some of it, they're really making good music still right now.
And you're right. You're right. And in the summer, those you might see two or three bands touring together throughout the summer across Canada. And yeah, you're right. They're still out there. Could be
Yeah,
casino circuit, maybe
yeah.
classic rock festivals, wherever.
Well, I mean, you probably know about this. I got to see Glass Tiger here in Charlottetown, and Erica M was the opening act. I don't know if you knew
I
about that.
heard. Yeah, I was speaking with Alan last month, a couple months ago. He was doing a solo thing, and we were talking about that.
And yeah, I really didn't know what she was gonna do. When we got there, we were kind of like, what's Erica M gonna do to open this show? Like, I'm kind of curious, but it was very fun. It was very entertaining, and she really got the audience warmed up. I was quite impressed because like
Awesome.
I really didn't know what she was gonna do. I think you could do that with any band touring right now. They could get a bunch of you VJs together, or sorry, I don't want to use VJs because I know you don't like that, but
It's okay.
but it was the word they used, right? But yeah, you guys were the ones that brought that music to us. You know, you and
And you don't
Erica
know it
and
at the time how important it is to some people's lives. Again, you need 20 years away from something to look back fondly on it and realize how important it was. And yeah, you never know it at the time that you're doing anything special. But yeah, years later, you realize, man, it was the best job in the world, for sure.
before I go, you've got a second edition of the book out. Are you doing some promotions with it? Are you doing some signings still? Or are you
I've
doing?
scaled back. I'm doing one in Kingston in October.
Mhm.
I did a lot for the first one. I put it out there, and Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going that happened since the book's release that I think it warranted, and a lot more stories that I share in the second edition. That yeah, billwelychka.ca, and you can order it if your local bookstore doesn't carry it. You can certainly ask for it, but it is a happy has been second edition.
I will put some links in the description of this video so people can figure out where to buy it and pick it up and post some embarrassing YouTube clips from back in the day with you so people can watch those. What else would I hope they're not that embarrassing to you.
Nothing is.
Nothing
No,
embarrassing at this point anymore.
no, I've been through it. I'm done. Yeah, it's okay.
I have to thank you so much. You've given me so much time over the past couple of years since I started this channel, and it means a lot that someone like you would give me the time.
Well, I love
Um,
what you do, and I think it fills a purpose, and you're doing a great job at it. And keep it up because it is needed, Alan. It really is.
I hope so. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, somebody recognized me at the Grapes of Wrath show actually in Charlottetown, and I was like, wow,
Nice.
somebody's watching. That's great. That's the
It's
surprising part.
important.
Yeah, so
And then
uh,
someday maybe we'll co-host it together. We will co-host a podcast together.
that'd be great. I could totally see you doing a podcast. I would totally promote it too on mine because I think you've got a lot more to say.
Hmm. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I really do.
Thanks for your time, Bill. You take care of yourself.
Alan, always a pleasure to talk with you and keep it up, my friend. Thank you. God
All
bless
right.
you.
Best. All the best.